and every corporeal world. Created I a vortex first, and by its rotation and by the places in the firmament whither it traveleth, caused I and every corporeal. Every corporeal world. Created I a vortex first, and by its rotation and by the places in the firmament whither it traveleth, caused I the vortex to conceive the corporeal world. A great vortex created I for the sun, and within this vortex and subject to it, made I the vortices of many of the corporeal worlds.
Think not,
Oh, think not.
think not,
Oh man,
not,
that I created the sky, a barren waste
think not,
and void of you.
think not,
Even as man in the corporeal form is adapted to the corporeal earth, so is he in the spiritual form adapted to my ethereal worlds. Three great estates have I bestowed on man: the corporeal, the atmosphere, and the ethereal. Things that man sees, created I with a beginning and an end, but the unseen I made of endless duration. The corporeal man made I belonging to the scene, but the spiritual man made I as one within the unseen
think not,
and everlasting.
think not,
As the corporeal man
think not,
beholdeth corporeal things, so doth the spiritual man follow upward the evaporated corporeal entities of things.
think not,
As corporeal things are tangible to corporeal world.
The book of Jehovah, symmetry sung, heard his word, and the world begun. Motion one, devotion sprung, Jehovah reigns for the chosen, the only one. The book of Jehovah, symmetry sung, heard his word, and the world begun. Motion one, devotion sprung, Jehovah reigns for the chosen, the only one.
Before the earth took shape, new sound of sight, the creator sliced the time in the day and night. He breathed through void till the ether stirred, then sent angels and prophets to teach his word. Motion,
Notion, devotion aligned, encoded design in the spine of time. Wind wrote signs on the breath of the prime. S intertwined with the flesh of the line.
quicken the killer, conceiver entwined, dual divine, the ether confined, two entities birthed, corporate S, life compressed in the vortex nest, spirit in the mist, physics resist, matter persist in Jehovah's fist, dust kiss flame, Play became twist, anatomy gift from the infinite list. Male and female named through air, EOE. That sacred blare, not beast, not star. Not anywhere but the whisper of wind as a builder's prayer. Vortex speak, the sequence hum, the life resume. From void to bloom, the ether groom, creation's womb. Every tune in the flames plume, a living rune. If your soul need food, here's what you consume.
The book of Jehovah, symmetry son. Heard his word and the world begun. Motion one, devotion sprung. Jehovah reigns for the chosen, the only one. The book of Jehovah, symmetry son. Heard his word and the world begun. Motion one, devotion sprung. Jehovah reigns for the chosen, the only one.
3 states of worlds I made, corporeal terrain, an atmosphere and chain to Etherian planes. Ether the pure, obscure domain. The ghost of light, free the soul from shame. Atmosphere, field and flow. AGA, nebula glow. Currents collide where the comets go. Gravity bend with the vortices, so sound became law. Law gave sight, and every soul aligned in Jehovah's light. His love gave reason and the heart retune. If your body need rest, here's the text to consume.
The book of Jehovah, symmetry song. Heard his word and the world begun. Motion one, devotion sprung. Jehovah reigns for the chosen, the only one. The book of Jehovah, symmetry song. Heard his word and the world begun. Motion one, devotion sprung. Jehovah reigns for the chosen, the only one.
Before the clay inhaled the spark, the plan was grand. See moose spun pulse through the dust of man. Ether expand to where the blueprint ran. Spirit tied to flesh by Jehovah's hand. Angels descended, intelligent warm. Walked with Azu where the light was born. Heaven breathed with immortal form. Lord met love and the veil was torn. The seed took root in the coil's perfume. Sense evolved under the sun and the moon. Time broke the sleep of a deep commune. And now man learns pattern from teeth to spoon. From breath to balance, the most high drop clues from speech and sequence. The spirit world moved from page to prophecy through mahogany hues. If your mind need peace, here's the key to consume.
The book of Jehovah, symmetry son. Heard his word and the world begun. Motion one, devotion sprung. Jehovah reigns for the chosen, the only one. The book of Jehovah.
Jehovah's law rose strong like it always do. Pay attention, y'all, we in the book of Suit. And the trumpet sounded, every shadow withdrew. False crowns cracked, and the prophecy grew. Jehovah's law rose strong like it always do. Pay attention, y'all, we in the book of Suit.
When the crowns fell silent and the kings all died, Jehovah's son came forth with a lamp at his side, illuminating every cycle through a cosmic script. Who walked the path of light when the night got thick? Patterns came back around like a clock reset. A lesson for the ages you ain't seen yet. The covenant endured while the nations wept. Remnants kept the flame while the false one slept. No soul abandoned, no heart left alone. The light freed man from the game of thrones. Prophets warned early how the dark would act. False lords fronted hard till the heavens collapsed. But the faithful held steady when the chaos grew. For they were branded by the mark of the Creator's truth. The prophets kept record of the things they'd seen and how the Father's voice had restored the dream. When the trumpet sounded, shouted, false crowns cracked, and the prophecy grew. Jehovah's law rose strong like it always do. Pay attention, y'all, we in the book of Suit. When the trumpet sounded, shouted, false crowns cracked, and the prophecy grew. Jehovah's law rose strong like it always do. Pay attention, y'all, we in the book of Suit. Nations rode high on the serpent's spine, but in time they all fell with their tails entwined. Empires brag heavy on their gold and stone till the cycle spun it back like a replay mode. Sue logged centuries of tears and strife. Rise and decline, yo, the pulse of life. When the prophets got silenced and thrown aside, then the plagues came down and the false lords died. Temples fell quiet and the idols broke. Shadow lifted upward like a rising smoke. He revealed a holy blueprint of Jehovah's design, where no king prevails and no souls confined. He sparked creation's rhythm in an arc of time, reconstructing worlds that the false maligned. He etched that law eternal in the planetary spine, setting newborn cycles in a perfect line. When the trumpet sounded, every sounded false crowns crack, and the prophecy grew. Jehovah's law rose strong like it always do. Pay attention, y'all, we in the book of When the prophet sounded, every sounded false crowns crack, and the prophecy grew. Jehovah's law rose strong like it always do. Pay attention, y'all, we in the book of When the final cycle opened and the veils unrolled, Sue rose speaking truth that the prophets told. He walked through lower heavens where the false grew bold, turning counterfeit crowns back to dust from gold. He traced Jehovah's line where the arcs unfold, correcting every kingdom that the night controlled. He breathed new life where the ages got old, and shattered every myth that the serpent sold. He raised the nations upward from the fear they hold, guiding lost generations to the shepherd's fold. He lit the path of dawn with a lamp of gold, till the remnant stood firm and reconstructed the code. He weighed the fallen heavens on the scales of old, dividing truth from lies, whose eyes can see souls. He tore the veil from heaven where deceit enrolled, revealing every single loaf that the secrets hold. When the trumpet sounded, false crowns crack, and the prophecy grew. Jehovah's law rose strong like it always do. Pay attention, y'all, we in the book of Zeus. And the trumpet sounded, false crowns crack, and the prophecy grew. Jehovah's law rose strong like it always do. Pay attention, y'all, we in the book of Zeus.
Tell. Lost men boast while the wise ones look. And these are from the scriptures of the Lord's third book. We rise from dust where the strong men fell. Reading from the pages where the prophets tell. Lost men boast while the wise ones look. Y'all, these are from the scriptures of the Lord's third book.
In the ark of Rupta, the heavens wide, the Lord descended through the fiery tide to Guadama's land where the river's been, calling his children to rise again. He said, where are the hens, my sacred band? The quiet minds who still understand, not the kings in gold, nor the towers tall, but the humble who measure and build for all. They came from the valleys and mountain veins, from the lands of copper and silver plains, not dressed in jewels nor armored pride, but with clean hands and the truth inside. They built canals where the waters flow, squared the stone where the temples grow. Silent strength, the meek refine, the greatest people the Lord could find.
We rise from dust where the strong men fell. Reading from the pages where the prophets tell. Lost men boast while the chosen look. We are in shape the world in the Lord's third book. We rise from dust where the strong men fell. Reading from the pages where the prophets tell. Lost men boast while the chosen look. We are in shape the world in the Lord's third book.
The pride grew strong in the Ahorn land. The kings took power with a soldier's hand. Temples rose up of copper and gold, but the hearts of the people were dark and cold. The Ahens warned of the coming test, but the war drums beat in the east and west. The Lord grew weary, his angels fled, and spirits of darkness ruled instead. Then came the Onguis, fierce and bright, born from the unions of day and night. They hunted and fought by the river's line, carving their laws in flesh and time. They learned the fire from the stones they struck, built their nets and spears by luck. Yet even in war, the plan still stood. The Lord would turn it all to good.
We rise from dust where the strong men fell. Reading from the pages where the prophets tell. Lost men boast while the hunters look. The hungry's left a mark in the Lord's third book. We rise from dust where the strong men fell. Reading from the pages where the prophets tell. Lost men boast while the hunters look. The hungry's left a mark in the Lord's third book.
A light broke forth where the blood had dried. The Ahen wisdom met the always pride. From war and hunger, the new race came. The Gans walked forth in Jehovah's name. They learned to plow and how to chisel the stone, and raised up temples with the hands of their own. No idol or master to chain their view. They labored in rhythm,
the world made new. Their prophets spoke of the law within, a balance that cleanses the dust of sin. They taught that work was a prayer in time, and peace was the art of the soul refined. They gathered the nations, the fierce and meek, to build one tongue for the truth to speak. They broke their soul chains in the dark cloud, shook and rose enlightened and united in the Lord's third book.
We rise from dust where the strong men fell, reading from the pages where the prophets tell. Lost men boast while the faithful look, can fulfill the word in the Lord's third book. We rise from dust where the strong men fell, reading from the pages where the prophets tell. Lost men boast while the faithful look, can fulfill the word in the Lord's third book. Yeah.
Right back like I left it. It's Jehovah Chronicles number 317. Jehovah's with the most is holding that fire like a roach clip you out of your nerve. Fresh off of that curb jelly, jammy preserve. Kosmonian right back up in this thing, man. Hey, I don't know what happened, man. I wasn't been feeling right. I totally lost a whole day last night. I thought last night was Friday, and it was actually Saturday. Darryl Kosmon was going live at 10. Guess when I chose to go live at? Right at 10. So I lost a whole day, man, or else this show that I'm about to show, number 317, which is Darryl Kosmon, the scene behind the unseen, should have actually been shown last night. You dig what I'm saying? But I don't think, that for the people who didn't get to see it, this rebroadcast might be helpful also. You dig what I'm talking about? Even if we didn't get to broadcast it last night, y'all go watch the show on Jehovah Chronicles number 316 last night. We did on paper genocide. When y'all get done with this one, I think sometimes when the lesson is laid out perfectly and everything is said already, I think those are sometimes the best shows for content creators and people like that who are producing content online. When everything is said, sometimes ain't nothing you need to really say. You dig what I'm saying? Shout out to everybody who came through. You dig what I'm talking about? Elijah 7 up in this thing, man. Mr. Johnny, that's my guy. Yale, my brother. You dig what I'm talking about? St. Lou, the mayor. Shout out to my brother Abdiel. That's my guy. That's a good brother, y'all. My sister Key Lai, salute. My brother Bishop, none other than the whirlwind himself, Darryl Kosmon up in the house, man. Yahweh up in this house, man. Y'all share the live out, man. Share it out to different platforms and whatnot. Share it on Facebook and everything. I don't think I need to say anymore. With that being said, this is Darryl Kosmon, the scene or the unseen behind the scene.
Yes, we are in here. Welcome back to the Coliseum of Arguments, where ideas don't just get tested, they are always under examination. I'm your host, A1, and tonight we have a guest whose work has inspired people to think beyond the surface of reality. He's a respected scholar, an educator, and one of the most compelling contemporary speakers on the OWASP today. Whether you agree with his conclusions or not, few can deny his ability to communicate the complex philosophical spiritual ideas with clarity, conviction, and passion the way he does. Our presentation tonight is entitled The Unseen Behind the Scene, The Limits and Misuse of Methodological Naturalism. Methodological naturalism has become one of the defining principles of modern science, helping produce extraordinary discoveries by restricting scientific investigation to natural causes. But what happens when a useful scientific method is transformed into a philosophical worldview? Where is the line between a research tool and a claim about the nature of reality itself? Can science investigate every aspect of existence, or are there questions that lie beyond its proper scope? These are the questions our guest will explore as he examines the distinction between what science can legitimately investigate and what may exist beyond its methodological boundaries. So, whether you're a skeptic, a believer, or simply someone who enjoys thoughtful discussion, this conversation promises to challenge assumptions and encourage deeper reflection. Please join me in welcoming scholar, teacher, and one of today's foremost voices of the Owaspy, Darryl Kosmon. Everybody give him a round of applause. Where my sound effects at? Where are my sound effects? I can't find. There we go. How you feeling tonight?
Man, I'm doing very well tonight, bro. I'm ready to let this light off, man. This was a very, very interesting presentation to put together, man. And it's very interesting how when we put these presentations together, it's a learning experience in and of itself, because you might have the idea, what I'm saying, once you start drafting it, you start seeing things that you ain't even seen before. Even though I might have read a Wasp, read the same verse 1,000 times. I was like, wait a minute, I didn't even see it like that at first. But when you put the research to it, man, it be there. And that's what I'm about to show tonight. I'm about to draw the parallels between spirituality and science. And we're gonna show the limitations of methodological naturalism, which of course, ain't a bad thing. And we're gonna get into that too.
Let's go. Well, let me give you a warm, tight welcome. And I know the audience is excited and on the edge of their seats for this one. Let's get into it, brother.
Right on, man. So let me go ahead and share my screen real quick. Let me see. Shit, I just left the studio.
And if you're watching at home, like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. It's one of the ways you can support what we do here. Spread the word. Tell a friend.
Obviously, with as much. Hold on.
You got two cameras. How you do that?
Oh yeah. Mic check. I can hear myself talking.
I'm gonna kick this other one from the studio. You got to go to share screen, and it's a little TV with a plus sign in it down there at the bottom. And while you try to get the share screen, I'll go to a word from our sponsors. Let's see what that is. That's a video of you as well.
How we doing?
That's a video of you as well, too.
I got you.
Where did this one go?
There we go. Yeah, there we go. There we go. I ain't getting that echo no more.
Okay, we figured it out.
All right, my bad. Okay, so let me set my screen real quick. All right, you should have it right there.
Got you. Jehovih.
Oh man, you already know. All right. Mic check. How we doing on the microphone?
Mic is good.
All right, mic is lovely. Okay. 1 second here. Let's put you back right there. Hey, A1, is there a way for you to reduce the size of the name tag that's on the screen right here? Or is it big like that by default? Yeah, there you go. Yep, there we go. Cool. Okay, watch this. Okay, here we go, man. All praises to the ever-present great spirit, whose magnitude is incomprehensible and whose presence is everywhere. Peace, love, light, balance to all my brothers and sisters all around the world. And may the spark of the great I am be forever magnified. All right, we're going to go ahead and get this presentation kicked off. First and foremost, Jehovah. Jehovah. I'm going to let that name sink in for a couple seconds because I want everybody to go ahead and get their giggles in for a minute. That name, Jehovah. Let that sink in for a minute. Now, what is Jehovah according to Owaspi? What is Jehovah according to Owaspi? Owaspi glossary states Jehovah, see the great spirit, or see great spirit. When we look up great spirit is defined as what? The universe. Great spirit is defined as the universe. So just that quick and fast, we got Jehovah, the great spirit, the universe. Jehovah, the great spirit, the universe. What is the universe? Universe is what? The whole body of things. The whole body of things and phenomenon observed or postulated, meaning proposed to exist. So let me ask y'all this. Is not the whole body of things and phenomena observed held within space? Is not the whole body of things and phenomena observed held within space? And do not all things within space have place within the universe? Owaspi Arkaban 423, it states, behold, I am the ever present, and not in the figure or image of a man, but I am the all space and what? And place. I am the all space and place. So when we look out into the universe, we're not looking at the body parts of a giant man. That's not the body parts of a giant man we're looking at the created parts that occupy space and that occupies place within all space. But let me ask y'all this, what is space itself? What is space itself? Okay, well, let's begin by answering this question with another question. What remains when we remove everything that occupies place within all of space? What remains, No planets and galaxies, no photons and electrons, no energy fields, only pure space itself. What is that, So the closest comparison in science to this pure space is what science calls a perfect vacuum. For a perfect vacuum to occur, space would need to be what? Totally devoid of all matter. Totally devoid of all matter. And the Webster 1828 definition of space calls this concept of space abstract. Space, space, room, extension, space in the what? In the abstract, meaning no objects, is just what? Mere extension. It's just mere extension. So when we strip the universe of all that occupies it, what are we left with? Because what remains is not nothing. but a pure ever-present field of mere extension. And this field of mere extension shows us something that is easily overlooked. It shows us something that is easily overlooked, huh? That something can be what? Something can be unseen, not made of matter, and what? Be real. Huh? Something can be unseen, not made of matter, and be real. But what do I mean by field in this context? What do I mean by field? Field, when we look up the definition of field in the Webster 1828, field is what? Open space. Extent. The extent of open space. So check this out. So as a plain is an open space or a field of grass, or an ocean, an open space, or a field of water, in like manner is Jehovah, the all space and place, huh? An unseen field presence within which all creation has place. Owaski Book of Divinity 123, it states this: though worlds come into being and go out of being as such, yet Ormaz, Jehovah, remains. He is the what? The forever. And within him, all creations are created. Worlds coming into being and worlds going out of being are forms of what? They are forms of action. Action. So what more is a field than just open space? Well, when we continue the definition of field, we get open space for what? Open space for action or operation. So if Jehovah is an unseen field presence spanning the universe itself, then is Jehovah also the action and operation expressed throughout the field? Owaski Book of Being 329 states, Jehovah is action. Jehovah is action. And how do we see this action expressed? Well, the verse continues to state that his actions are manifested in the things you what? The things you see. Things that are seen. And when action becomes visible through things we see, is that not what we call motion? When action becomes visible through the things that we do see, is that not what we call motion? Okay, what is motion? Motion is an act or process or instance of changing place. Movement. So whether it's the revolution of planets or the movement of galaxies or the vibration of atoms or the travel of waves, are they not all expressions of motion at every scale of the universe? This is why it states in Book Jehovah 1:1, it states the all spoke. The all spoken motion was and is and ever shall be. The all motion was what? His speech. That said, Jehovah's speech is Jehovah's action. And Jehovah's action is what? Expressed through the motion of the things that are seen. Huh? Don't we always say that actions speak louder than words? But what more is Jehovah than an unseen field presence of space, action, and operation? What more is Jehovah than an unseen field presence of space, action, and operation? Huh? We go back to a WASP glossary and it states this. It states that things move. Well, things move. I am and I move. My hand, look, my hand moves. And guess what? Life in me makes my hand move. Is having life not about being alive? What is it to be alive? Okay, well, alive is still in existence, force, or guess what? Look at this. Still in existence, force, or what? Operation. Operation and active. And to be active involves action. To be alive involves what? Operation. But hold up, look at the definition of field. A field involves what? These three things: space, action, and operation. Okay, Darryl Kosmon. So what is it you trying to insinuate, Darryl Kosmon, huh? That this field of open space for action and operation is alive? Okay, well, let's see. Huh? And that this life is what gives motion to the universe. Huh? Well, if the life in us can move our hand, then let's finish up what it has to say in the WASP glossary. If the life in us can make us move our hand, therefore life is primus. The life is primus. That means it's fundamental. Huh? It comes first. Therefore, life is primus. Motion is what comes afterward. Huh? So life in me causing motion shows that life does what? Moves all the universe. WASP is describing life as the presence behind all motion. WASP is describing life as the presence behind all motion. Huh? That's really not far-fetched as it sounds, because even one definition of life is this. When we look up life in the dictionary, it states a principle or force that is considered to underlie the distinctive quality of animate beings. And look at how close this definition is to spirit. Well, when we look up spirit, it says an animating or vital principle held to give life to what? Physical organisms. So an ever-present spirit that moves all the universe is why WASP calls Jehovah the Great Spirit. But what is it that makes us aware that we have life in the first place? Huh? And are capable of moving anything in the first place? Well, it states right here, the book of Jehovah 1:4. It says, by virtue of my presence, life is. By virtue of my presence, life is. What were we quickened into? Book of Judgment 20:8, it states, because of the ever presence of Jehovah, you were quickened into what? We were quickened into what? A conscious being. So if Jehovah is life and life exists within us by virtue of Jehovah's presence. Hold on. Sorry about that, y'all. So if Jehovah is life and life exists in us by virtue of Jehovah's presence, right? And that ever presence quickened us into conscious beings, then what does that tell us about the ever presence itself? What does that tell us about the ever presence itself? Book of Jehovah 1:2, it states, I am. Book of Jehovah 1:2, it states, he said, I am. He said, I am. And then what? Comprehended all things. I am. Then comprehended all things. I am does what? When we say I am, what are we acknowledging? I am acknowledges what? Existence. And then to comprehend all things, or to comprehend a thing, is to what? Is to possess what? Awareness. And awareness is what we call consciousness. When we look up a basic definition of consciousness in the dictionary, we get what? The quality or state of being aware. Huh? And consciousness is what? Is unseen. The brain can be observed, but awareness itself is not directly observed as a what? As an object. Consciousness is not directly observed as an object. Now pay attention. See? So earlier we established that space is unseen. It's not made of matter, yet it's undeniably real. Nobody can deny that space is real. Huh? In like manner, so too is consciousness unseen, not directly observed as a material object, yet it's undeniably real. And Owasby already addressed this to the materialist mindset in 1881 by saying this in Book of F 18. It says they look for me like they look for things. And guess what? They do not find me. And the Book of Knowledge takes it even further by saying this. In Book of Knowledge 2:1 it states, nor in fact can he, who is he, man. So nor in fact can man prove if he has a what? An entity of self within himself. Now here's a good question. How do these verses correspond with modern philosophy and science? How does that correspond with modern philosophy and science? So first, one of the world's leading philosophers of consciousness, David Chalmers. Everybody know about David Chalmers. He states this in his publication, a publication that he called Facing Up to the Problem of Consciousness. What does he say? He says consciousness is not directly observable in an experimental context. So we cannot generate data about the relationship between physical processes and experience at will. And even to this day, the conscious self cannot be directly observed or measured. That was from a philosopher, but let's take it to a scientist, And this limitation is now being confronted within the field of neuroscience itself. At the 2026 Behind the Beyond Brain Symposium, one of the world's leading neuroscientists, his name is Christoph Koch. He gave a presentation that he titled, what? Beyond Physicalism, Looking at the World with Fresh Eyes, where he stated that physicalism did what? Physicalism has failed to explain how consciousness emerges out of 3 pounds of active matter. Okay, well, what 3 pounds of active matter is he referring to? Well, the brain. See, and Owasby already addressed this in 1881 in Book of Apollo 1:7. It states, guess what? It states, for the basis of the spiritual entity does not lie within the measure of the corporeal senses. I'm going to say that one more time for you. Book of Apollo 1:7 states that the basis of the spiritual entity does not lie within the measure of the corporeal senses. Let that sink in for a minute, right? Let that sink in for a minute. Think about that. Let me ask this question. Which one of our 5 corporeal senses can sense consciousness itself? If that verse is not on point, which one of the 5 corporeal senses that can sense consciousness itself? Is it taste? Is it touch? Is it sight? Is it sound? Which one? None of them. None of them. So the problem is not that consciousness is absent, but the assumption that consciousness should be found as if it's made of, but the assumption is that consciousness should be found like it's made of particles. So if consciousness is awareness, and Jehovah comprehended all things, then Owasby is not describing an unconscious presence, it's describing conscious life. And the things we see are just instruments through which conscious life expresses its action. So what does that say about matter itself? Book of Ben 3:27, it states, if it does not do of itself, then it is not the doer, but the instrument. If it does not do of itself, then it is not the doer, but the instrument. And are we ourselves not living proof that conscious life can express intentional action through our physical body? One more time for you. Are we ourselves not living proof that conscious life can express intentional action through a physical body? And that is what makes conscious life a causal presence. That is what makes conscious life a causal presence. What does it mean to be causal? Causal means that when one thing is known for certain to cause another thing, then the first thing can be called causal. Okay, well, the first thing is the presence of conscious life expressing what? Intention. The second thing is what? My hand in motion. My hand in motion, huh? But on a cosmological level, Book of Arenathan 1:8-9, it states first then what? First then what? His living presence. First then his living presence, moving all things onward to a wise and definite purpose. And like space, whose presence is everywhere and boundless. Huh? Okay, so here's my question to the materialist. If conscious life is capable of expressing action through my body, why could conscious life not express action through a universe? Huh? Huh? A boundless unseen presence that expresses itself through the seen. This is why it states in Book of Jehovah 1:5, huh? It states, I am two apparent entities. Nevertheless, I am only one. These entities are the unseen, which is potent, and the seen, which of itself is impotent and called what? Corpore. Unseen, what is invisible but apparently real, like space or consciousness. One more time for you. Unseen, what is invisible but apparently real, like space or consciousness. Seen, what is visible and is called corpore, or what we commonly call matter. Huh? What we commonly call matter. Corpore. What is corpore? Corporeal describes something that has a what? A physical form. Corporeal describes something that has a physical form. It is the opposite of spiritual. And remember, we show the unseen spirit is connected to life. We define that. We define both spirit and both life and seen the connection. We showed that the unseen spirit is connected to life as the animating principle behind the physical form. The seen are corporeal manifestations of the unseen conscious field presence of the great spirit Jehovah. So we are not dealing with two disconnected realities. We are dealing with two apparent parts of the same reality. One is seen and one is what? Unseen. Huh? Do we not possess an unseen mind and a seen body? Do we not possess an unseen mind and a seen body? And wherever the unseen mind tells the seen body to go, the seen body is going to follow. Yet they move as one. Huh? In like manner, Oaspi says in Book of Jehovah 4:21. Nevertheless, oh man, the seen and the unseen are only what? They're only parts of my person. The seen and the unseen are only parts of my person. I am the unity of the whole. Huh? So the same way Jehovah is a unity of the whole of its parts, in like manner and in its likeness are we also the unity of the whole of our parts, both seen and unseen. Huh? And in order for us to understand the whole, we must not mistake the limits of the method for the limits of reality. Huh? For a method whose scope is only the seen part cannot by itself define the whole. I'm going to say that one more time. For a method whose scope is only the seen part, It's only the corporeal part. It's only the physical part cannot by itself define the whole. Which brings us to our topic. Well, yeah, we're just getting started. Which brings us to our topic, the unseen behind the scene. A WASPy on the limits and misuse of methodological naturalism. Give me a moment, y'all. Man, shout out to CGG, man. Who we got in the chat though? Let me get some shouts out real quick. Shout out to CGG. Man, look, man. Hey, shout out to UA1. Also, I see Bronze in the house. Man. FGK Capone in the house. Miles Davis, my brother D, a Huber Lifestyle. What's up, baby? Good to see y'all here. Man. We got Jay Snake. Jay Snake in the chat, tripping. Shout out to you though, bro. Much love to you, man. Shout out to my brother Fritz. Good to see y'all, man. Shout out CGG, man. Much love to y'all. Family came through tonight. All right, the unseen behind the scene, a WASPy on the limits and misuse of methodological naturalism. Oh, here, let's go for a journey real quick. All right, what is methodological naturalism? Methodological naturalism is an approach in scientific inquiry that assumes all phenomena can be explained by natural causes and scientific laws without involving supernatural elements. It is essential for maintaining objectivity and consistency within the scientific method. All right. So before we dissect methodological naturalism and define the limits of its scope, let's discuss where we actually align. We're going to discuss where we actually align, because it will be foolish to accuse a WASPy of being anti-science or anti-methodology simply because you refuse to read it for yourself. And if you actually read the book, you know that what man calls science aligns with what a WASPy calls corporeal knowledge. Watch this. What is science? Science, such knowledge or such a natural science. Okay, so knowledge of the physical. We got that part, knowledge of the physical. But what is corpore in a WASPy? How do we define what corpore is in a WASPy? A WASPy book of being 03 states, corpore signifies whatever has length, whatever has breadth, and whatever has thickness. And anything that has length, breadth, and thickness is what? It's physical. It's physical. Even the Merriam Dictionary defines it is what? Here's corporeal. Corporeal is having, consisting of, or relating to a physical material body. So if science is knowledge concerned with the physical world and its phenomena, and corpore signifies what has length, breadth, and thickness, then what man calls science falls under what a WASPy calls corporeal knowledge. Watch this. We're going to define it right here. In Book of Osiris 11:17, it states, direct man's soul into the acquisition of what? Corporeal knowledge, causing him to do what? To look into corporeal things to find the reason for the behavior of all created substance. That's not anti-science. That's science. That's science. And this is why we are also directed to look into the corporeal. Book of Knowledge 2:12 states, for if you do not benefit from Jehovah's person, If you do not benefit from Jehovah's person, that which is seen, how can you attain his spirit, to his spirit? That which is what? That which is unseen. And because the WASP encourages man to look into corporeal things to find the reason for the behavior of created substances, the next question should be this: by what method? By what method? Because both methodological naturalism and Owaspy can agree that science aims for measurable results through testing and analysis, a process known as what? The scientific method. Science is based on fact, not opinion or preferences. It says based on fact and not opinion. Owaspy says the same thing in its own language. Watch this. Book of Discipline. Owaspy Book of Discipline. It states this: you shall explain that only facts well known or comparatively proven are what? Are light. That facts well known or comparatively proven are light. In opinion, it's not light. In opinion, it's not light. Facts, numbers, figures, and axioms can demonstrate light. And that without these, then that supposed light is what? It's only darkness. These then are the rules of light. That which is what? Self-evident. That which is what? That which is axiomatic. That which is substantiated by facts. And that which also has what? A parallel in known things. That's not anti-methodology. That's methodology. Methodology, a body of methods, rules, ideas that are important in science, art, and discipline. So no, I'm not here to attack science or its method itself. I'm here to define the limits of its scope. Examine the effects of misusing those limitations, and expose those who misuse the method to push their own personal opinion. Watch this. Watch this. Because even science openly admits the limits of its own scope. Science itself admits the limits of its own scope. It says one important aspect of the scientific process is that it focuses only on what? Only on the natural world, according to the University of California, Berkeley. That's an official source, especially when it comes to science. But watch this. Anything that is considered supernatural or beyond physical reality does not fit into the definition of science. But here's the question. Does that mean that science or methodological naturalism equal atheism? Does that mean that science or methodological naturalism equal atheism? No, it doesn't. No, it does not. In fact, the term methodological naturalism itself is credited to a Christian scholar. A Christian scholar named what? Paul DeVry. And listen to how even he admits to these limits in his publication called Naturalism in the Natural Sciences, a Christian perspective. And this is where he first formally published the term methodological naturalism. Here's the original publication right here. I got clips, but here it is. I'm gonna read from the text. He states, the natural sciences are limited by method. This is coming from Paul DeVry. He said the natural sciences are limited by method to naturalistic foci, or to a naturalistic focus. By method, they must seek answers to their questions where? Within nature. Within nature, within the non-personal and contingent created order, and not anywhere else. Not anywhere else. Thus, the natural sciences are guided by what I call, and here it is, methodological naturalism. Methodological naturalism is quite different from metaphysical naturalism. I'm going to say that again. Methodological naturalism is quite different from metaphysical naturalism. Metaphysical naturalism is a what? A philosophical perspective that denies the existence of a transcendent God. Huh? Metaphysical naturalism is a philosophical perspective that denies the existence of a transcendent God. Methodological naturalism does not deny the existence of God. Methodological naturalism does not deny the existence of God because this scientific methodology does not even raise the question of God's existence. Interesting. Now let's slow this down and follow the logic for a second. Let's slow this down and follow the logic. The very man credited with naming methodological naturalism is himself a what? A Christian scholar. He's religious. Huh? He believes in a God. Huh? He says that methodological naturalism does not even raise the question of God because by principle, it is to stay within the nature, we stay within nature as the focus of its limited scope, right? So when a so-called methodological naturalist goes outside of these principles in an attempt to write a higher power out of existence, according to the official source, they are not being methodological. Huh? They are being what the article says is metaphysical. Okay, so what does that mean? That makes them a metaphysical naturalist masquerading as a methodological naturalist. Which makes them exactly what they accuse other people of being. A pseudo. Huh? A pseudo. And what's even worse than a pseudo dying by his own sources is a pseudo being exposed by the very method he claims to represent, all to push an opinion that there is no higher power. And science is not based on opinion, huh? And the WASP reveals that an opinion is not light, it's darkness, huh? Or WASP even reveals why people like this are inevitable. Or WASP reveals why people like this are inevitable. Because while the method does not teach atheism, man can turn its limited scope into what? Into a complete world view. And when man mistakes the scope for the whole of reality, limited scope then becomes what? It becomes limited sight. Limited scope then becomes limited sight, huh? And the WASP reveals exactly where that limited sight can lead, where that limited sight can lead, and what is damn near a direct message to the materialist mindset. Book of Osiris 11:21 it states, "You shall teach them in truth. You shall teach them in truth, but future generations will contort your teachings into what? Corporeal worship, going down in disbelief in not only the spiritual life, but in the great spirit." Huh? The boundless, unseen, living, conscious presence that expresses itself through the seen. Going down in disbelief by what? Reducing the universe into a physical nature alone. Going down in disbelief by reducing the universe to a physical nature alone, huh? And that's no different than how religion reduces the infinite to a genocidal tribal deity or a sin-remitting blood savior. One reduces the great spirit into what? A literal man, while the other reduces the great spirit into what? Into natural law. Book of Ben, or watch the book of Ben, chapter 3, it states this. Man inquired, how can I know if a thing is of God or if it is of nature? What is Jehovah other than natural law? What is Jehovah other than natural law? Jehovah through Kippur answered this. What is nature, O man? What is nature, O man? What have you gained by replacing my name with another? Now I say to you, the soul of things is Jehovah. That which you call nature is what? Simply the corporeal part. So nature is only the corporeal part, not the whole. And natural law only describes action, but is not the living power performing action through corporality. Remember in the intro, I can move my hand from one position to another, but my corporal hand is not the doer. My corporeal hand is not the doer. The conscious life within me directs the motion of my corporeal body. So if conscious life can direct the motion of my body, why can't conscious life direct the motion of a universe? Huh? And every time I move, I don't check in with the law. Huh? I simply move with just conscious intent. That said, back to Book of Ben, what have you gained by the word law? What have you gained by the word law instead of the word Jehovah? If that which does a thing does of its own accord, then it is what? Alive and wise also. Therefore, it is Jehovah. If it does not do of itself, then it is not the doer, but the what? But the instrument. Huh? How then can law do anything? Law is dead, and the dead do nothing. Men make laws, and as between themselves, these laws are rules doing what? Governing action, but they are not the action itself. Book of Ben 3:16 continues to state this. Jehovah said, I make no laws. Behold, I labor with my own hands. I am ever present. I am present everywhere. Huh? And we observe within ourselves that conscious life expresses action, manifested as motion through what is seen. So instead of treating law as the doer, Owaspi points us to the living presence behind the action that is present everywhere. As the unseen behind the scene, two distinct parts, yet inseparable. Owaspi Book of Jehovah 1:5, it states, I am two appearing entities. Nevertheless, I am only one. These entities are the unseen and the seen. Okay, let's slow this verse down real quick. Let's slow it down. What is an entity? What is an entity? Entity, something that has separate and distinct existence and objective or conceptual reality. Okay. So even though the seen and the unseen have separate and distinct roles, they work together to constitute the same universe and same reality, which is what makes them one. But notice in this definition that an entity is not limited to just physical objects. An entity can also have what? Conceptual reality, meaning that it exists as an idea. It exists as an idea, but don't get it wrong, huh? Because not everything unseen exists as an idea. For example, space is unseen, but is space conceptual? No, it's not. Right? Huh? Space is unseen, but it's not conceptual. It's an unseen extent. We went over that already. Consciousness is unseen, but it's not conceptual. Everybody knows that they're conscious. It's not conceptual. It is a first-person subjective experience. That said, not everything unseen exists the same way. But keep that in mind. We're going to get to an example in a second. But what more are these two entities? What more are these two entities? Let's read the verse again. I am two apparent entities, nevertheless, I am only one. These entities are the unseen, which is potent, and the seen, which is of itself impotent and called what? Corpore. Now remember, corporeal. Corporeal is what? Having, consisting of, or relating to a physical material body. Now, Owaspi describes the unseen as what? Being potent. And the seen, which is corpore, as being what? Impotent. So we have the unseen, which is potent, and we have the seen, which is being described as what? Impotent. What is impotent? Impotent. The seen. Impotent means lacking power or authority, right? Now, corpore is the part of the whole that of itself lacks power. Now, recall the life in hand emotion example in the introduction. Without our unseen conscious intention, our seen hand would not be able to direct itself or change from one position to another. Why? Because by itself, the seen hand is not the doer and lacks power and authority to act on its own. And this is what makes the seen impotent. But the unseen is the opposite, being potent. Possessing what? The power to influence and direct that which is impotent. This is why Owaspi continues to state in Book Jehovah 4:3, in all the universe, I have made the what? The unseen rule over the seen. In all the universe, I have made the unseen rule over the seen. What is it to rule? To rule is to exert control, direction, or influence on. Okay, well, the unseen exerts control, gives direction, and influences the seen, because the unseen, being potent, holds the what? Potential for what the seen can do or become. You see potent and potential? The unseen, being potent, holds the what? It holds the potential for what the seen can do or become. Potential. Existing in what? Possibility. But then it also states capable of development into actuality. Now, based on the definition of potential, something unseen not only holds what exists in possibility, but it can also become expressed through a seen form and actuality. Which stays in line with Book of Ben 329. It states Jehovah is what? Jehovah is action. And actions are what? His actions are manifested in what? The things you see. Okay, Darryl Kosmon, so what's your point? What's the point, Darryl Kosmon, and what does this have to do with the limits of methodological naturalism? Well, let's get into that. Let's put it all together real quick with some key points. An entity can be objective or conceptual. The seen is objective and visible, whether viewed by the naked eye or through technology. But the unseen can also possess objective or conceptual reality, because not everything unseen exists as as an idea, and space and consciousness alone makes this very clear to people. The seen and the unseen are two distinct entities, yet together they constitute what? One reality. The seen, being impotent, lacks power to act of itself, while the unseen, being potent, holds the power and potential to direct the seen. The potent unseen directs how the seen moves, producing what? Visible motion. And in the same way the unseen gives direction to visible motion, the same way the unseen gives direction to visible motion, it can also influence the visible form through which the unseen becomes what? Becomes expressed. Huh? Huh? Now let's demonstrate this using something that exists as an unseen concept. Huh? Let's demonstrate this real quick. Let me show y'all what I mean by this. Everybody that's listening right now, hold up 10 fingers. Hold 10 fingers up in front of you. Hold 10 fingers up in front of you. Right? Now, your unseen conscious intent not only directed the motion of your hands, it not only directed the motion of your hands to hold your hands up, but also directed your fingers to what? To take a visible form that represents the unseen concept of 10. Right? Now, close your hands and remove the visible form of 10. Right? Now answer this. Did you destroy the unseen concept of 10? Or did you just end the physical representation of 10? Did you destroy the unseen concept of 10? Or did you just end the physical representation of 10? Huh? Book of Jehovah 4:6, it states this. Let me give y'all a hint. Things that man sees, I created with a beginning and an end. Things that man sees, I created a beginning and an end. But the unseen, I made of what? I made the unseen of endless duration. Huh? That said, the seen representation of 10 through your fingers came to an end. But the unseen concept of 10 is what? Is of endless duration. I'm going to say that again. Huh? It falls right in line with the verse. The seen representation of 10 through your fingers did what? It came to an end. But the unseen concept of 10 is of endless duration. It is of endless duration and can what? Be manifested through countless seen forms. Huh? It can be 10 sticks. It can show up as the Roman numeral 10. It can show up as 10 brown eggs. It can show up as a 10-piece chicken. It can show up as 10 grandmamas. Huh? Huh? So no one representation of 10 is the exact whole of 10. No one representation of 10 is the exact whole of 10 itself. Huh? But check this out. Book of Ben 320, Book of Ben 2:26, it states, man said this, yet I know a truth. Yet I know a truth. I know that 10 things are 10. This knowledge I can write down and clearly teach to my brother. See, here are 10. This is exact science. This is exact science. This representation right here, that's exact science. What does it mean to be exact? To be exact means what? It means to be true in every way. It means to be true in every way. But the claim is that this is an exact science. Now 10 fingers are true. Now 10 fingers are true in the sense or in the context that they do represent 10. But they are not true in every way 10 can be expressed. Huh? It's not true in every way that 10 can be expressed. No. Because the seen representation is what? It's impotent. This is impotent. It comes to an end. It cannot of itself express the full potential of 10. Neither can 10 sticks. Neither can 10 eggs. Huh? Neither can 10 chicken wings. Huh? But the unseen concept of 10 is what? Is potent. Why? Holding the potential to express itself through countless forms. Which is why the next verse states right here in Book of Ben 2:27, your supposed exact science. Your supposed exact science is nothing. Huh? Now, it's not saying that science is nothing. It's talking about the claim that this is an exact science, the claim that man is making, not science in general. Your supposed exact science is nothing, and your supposed truth is only what? Falsehood compounded and acquiesced in. Huh? So what has a materialist who reduces reality to the visible? So what kind of question I'm asking here? So what is being acquiesced in by the materialist? Huh? What is being acquiesced in by the materialist? The belief that the visible representation is the whole truth. A belief compounded until that limit of man's understanding is what? Mistaken for the limit of reality. This is why Jehovah says, but man's wisdom is simply what? The experience of my creations. Man's wisdom is simply the experience of my creations, expressed to man's understanding as what? As signs and symbols. As signs and symbols. Let's restate that so it hit different. Man's methodological naturalism is simply the experience of my creations expressed to man's limited understanding in what? In signs and symbols. And this relationship between reality, its visible signs, and the meaning they communicate is studied in philosophy through what is called semiotics. Semiotics. What is semiotics? Semiotics is the study of signs and sign using behavior. Now watch this. According to one of its founders, I cannot pronounce the name. I'm not going to try to. According to one of its founders, it says that every sign consists of two inseparable parts. What does that sound like? That sounds just like Jehovah 1.5. It says that every sign consists of two inseparable parts. Watch this. Now look, when we go to Jehovah 1.5, it states what? I am two apparent entities or two apparent parts. Nevertheless, I am only one. And what are these two inseparable parts that semiotics speak of? Well, one is the signifier. What is a signifier? The signifier, which in language is a set of speech sounds or marks on a page. So there go your signs and symbols that Jehovah is referring to. And the signifier is what? Which is the concept or the idea behind the sign. Or how one is the concept and how one is the representation? And this same relationship between the seen and the unseen extends from the human body to the cosmos. This same relationship extends from the human body on up to the cosmos. Here's what I mean by that. Okay, Darryl, Kosmon, let's break it down. If conscious life moves me, here's the logic. If conscious life moves me, and my consciousness is the most immediate known cause, and my consciousness is the most immediate known cause of my intentional motion, then by the same rational pattern, Owaspi reveals that conscious life moves the cosmos. If the seen is the manifested expression of the unseen, then my corporeal body is the visible expression of the conscious life within me. Now watch this. And if my conscious life is born out of the conscious universe, The same way my body is made of its elements, that I am not separate from the Great Spirit. That means that I am the I am. I am the I am. If my conscious life is born out of the conscious universe, the same way my body is made of its elements, then I am not separate from the Great Spirit. I am the I am. I am a conscious representation of this ever-present conscious universe. I am a conscious representation of this ever-present conscious universe. Book of Apollo 1:7 it states. Nevertheless, Jehovah has given you comparisons. As a portrait of a man shows his looks even after his corporeal body is perished. And yet the picture is only what? A representative. To the spirit, a corporeal body is only what? A representative, being a manifested production of a spirit. Damn. Damn. Let's look at that scientifically. Let's draw some parallels. Look at what happens at the beginning of our corporeal manifestation. This is the original scientific source from ResearchGate. Science reports that what? That the zinc spark is an inorganic signature of human egg activation. Look at the headline. The zinc spark is an inorganic signature of human egg activation. Now, this article from U.S. News breaks it down in a way the average person can understand. Now, check this out. It says, during conception, human eggs emit sparks. During conception, human eggs emit sparks. This is the first time the phenomena has been observed by scientists. Now, here's what it states. It states that when a sperm meets an egg, sparks fly. Literally. According to a study published in Scientific Reports, an explosion of zinc fireworks occurs when a human egg is activated by what? A sperm enzyme. A sperm enzyme. Now, based on what we established, the scene represents the motion and form of an unseen reality. So what unseen reality do y'all think these corporeal zinc sparks could be a visible representation of? Watch the alignment in Book of Judgment 2:24. It states this. Out of darkness, man is brought forth a what? A blank. And his entity is a what? A spark of Jehovah, the Great Spirit. His entity will never cease to grow. Yes, from the what? From the hour of conception. From the hour of conception, it is a new star in the world, and it magnifies itself forever. Now, Waspi described a spark from the hour of conception in 1881. And in 2016, scientists observed a corporeal zinc spark at the activation of the human egg. This is how we draw parallels between known things. So science and spirituality are not separated from reality, but by the limits that man mistakes for reality. In other words, this division is not a cosmological problem. This division of science and spirituality is not a cosmological problem. It's not even a method error. It's a man error. It's a man error. And it states in Owaspi right here, it says, in this error, because of this error, right? Owaspi state that this shows that you do not comprehend the living presence of Jehovah, but profane him and his works. So where corporeal knowledge observes the form, spiritual knowledge seeks the unseen causes acting through the seen. Remember, Owaspi encourages corporeal knowledge, which is what man calls natural science. Here it is again. Here's the reminder. Owaspi, Book of Osiris 11:17, it states, It states to direct man's soul to the acquisition of corporeal knowledge, causing him to look into corporeal things to find a reason for the behavior of all created substance. But the corporeal is only what? Remember what we go over. The corporeal is only one part of the whole. So when we go to Book of Knowledge 556, it states, above all things, observe the what? The unseen causes that play upon you, quickening your memory and your perception. For in this lies a great secret of acquiring what? Spiritual knowledge. A wasp encourages both. Huh? Here's why. Here's why. Book of Knowledge 2:12, it states this. For if you do not benefit from Jehovah's person, that which is seen, how can you attain to his spirit? That which is what? That which is unseen. For are the two, his person and his spirit, not the all one? Huh? And this balance of corporeal and spiritual knowledge has a name and an era. It has a name and it has an era. This balance of corporeal and spiritual knowledge has a name and it has an era. Book of Being 08, it states, Kosmon said, the present era, now, all knowledge and possession of man, embracing what? Corporeal and spiritual knowledge sufficiently proven. Kosmon said, the present era, all knowledge and possession of man, embracing corporeal and spiritual knowledge sufficiently proven. Huh? Thus my name, darryl, paired with the purpose, Kosmon. Not choosing between the seen and the unseen. But bridging the gap that man attempts to place between the two. Bridging the gap that man attempts to place between the two and restoring them as two aspects of one whole. So let's sum it all up. The hand was never the doer. Nature was never the doer. The law was never the doer. But guess what? Here's the twist. Neither is the method. So the error has never been the method's limited scope. The error has never been the method's limited scope. Why? Because the method was limited by design. So the error begins in the consciousness of the man who misuses that scope. The method is just the instrument. But here you go. It's the man that's the doer. And when the doer mistakes the limited scope, and when the doer mistakes the limited scope of the instrument for the limits of reality, he mistakes what the method is designed to examine for the whole of reality. Which is why Waspy leaves us with this. Book of Knowledge 128, it states, you do not comprehend yourself. You do not comprehend yourself, nor know of your own knowledge the time of your beginning. You know 3 times 3 are 9. And even this you cannot prove except by what? Here we go again. This you cannot prove except by what? Symbols and images. Nor is there anything in your corporeal knowledge that you can prove otherwise, except your presence. But check this out. And even that which you see, your very self, when you look in the mirror or look at your reflection, and even that which you see is not your presence, but the symbol and image of it. For you yourself are only as a what? A seed, a germ of the Father, Jehovah. That brings us to the end of it. Short and sweet. All praise to the ever-present great spirit whose magnitude is incomprehensible, whose presence is air well. It's your boy Darryl Kosmon. Hope y'all enjoyed it.
I've been waking up before the sun, packing dreams in lunchbox love, running on faith and overtime, pouring from an empty cup, bills on the counter, tears in the sink, smiling through everything, every promise I put on hold, every part of me I didn't get to be. I gave my body, I gave my name, gave my nights to survive the days. I don't regret it, no, not a thing, but I've been quiet long enough to breathe. Now the house is still and my heart is loud. I finally hear myself right now. I'm still standing, still soft, still strong, still dancing to my own song. I get my love, I get my all, now I give it back to me, back to you. I'm still standing, no chains on my feet, I don't owe nobody my peace. I'm thankful for the road I've been through, it brought me back to me. I love my babies with my whole soul, built a home out of broken clothes, held it down when nobody saw. I was the backbone, I was the wall. All work, husband, life on repeat, put myself last, yeah, every week. But something shifted in my chest when I chose rest instead of yes. No more shrinking, no more weight, no more asking to take up space. I earned this glow, this calm, this fire. I'm not tired, I'm inspired. I'm not leaving anything behind, I'm just finally walking a step. Still standing, you saw, still starting to my own song. I gave my love, I gave my all, now I give it back to me. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm still standing, no chains on my feet, I don't owe nobody my peace. I'm thankful for the road I've been through, it brought me back to me. Forget it, still standing, so still standing to my own song. I gave my love, I gave my all, now I give it back to me. You deserve it, I'm still standing, no chains on my feet, I don't owe nobody my peace. I'm thankful for the road I've been through, it brought me back to me. Yeah. I survived on faith and fumes, turn sacrifice into roots. Every scar made room to grow, every note taught me what I know. I ain't bitter, I ain't mad, I'm the best I ever had. Still got love, still got grace, just got stronger boundaries in place. I don't chase, I attract, I don't fold, I adapt, I don't disappear. For I rise, I receive, I trust. Yeah. I'm still standing, still soft, still strong, still to my own song. I give my love, I give my all, now I give it back to me, back to you. I'm still standing, no chains on my feet, I don't owe nobody my peace. I'm thankful for the road I've been through, it brought me back to me. Back to you. Back to you. Back to you, back to you, back to you, back to you, back to you. I'm still standing, no chains on my feet, I don't owe nobody my peace.
So y'all want to say that the brother won? Y'all can say what you want to. Y'all voted the way y'all voted. I ain't hurt.
King Selah Shalom, another victory. Hail me, the king, cause that's what it tended to be. War child got crushed, I took him out his misery. Swing swords cut his vocal cords quite sufficiently. Zion under my feet met his defeat instantly. Trying to compete, run the retreat, will before you mention me. In the Coliseum, I got eyes on my enemies. In mausoleums, I'ma leave them for coming centuries. Headshot fatal, couldn't recover from his injuries. Bloody gore, ligaments tore. Did him vicious, gut him to the core. Give him some more. Straight consistent, settle the score. Cause I'm for sure another victor. Cut through Zion like a knife. Decapitate, take life. Put his head on the altar for the ultimate sacrifice. For years you've been living lies, following the myth in the sky. Greco-Roman theology through Ethiopian eyes. You just as blind as Christians who thinking Jesus is why. Truth in front your face and you seem they can't get it right. Jah Rastafari, not gonna save your life. Real killers move in silence in the shadow of night. The sleeping giant awoke, you know it's been a while. Coming out of hibernation, hungry, thirsty on the prowl. When the conquering lion growl, it echoes about a mile. I'm the real god of war, this nigga just a war child. Sacrifice him to his god, now his soul's immortal. Walking through the valley of death on brimstone tile. Zion wanted smoke, got suffocated by poison clouds. If you can't take the heat, get the hell out the kitchen now. Standing on my square, I'm here to retain the crown. This the big Coliseum, I'm bringing the building down. 2 years ago, we told you a new sheriff was in town. Battle of the holy books, bitch, we back you niggas down.
Man, it's hot up in this case, man.